The crash of MH17 has huge legal implications, and with me is Mr. Giemulla, the lawyer for 3 German families who had loved ones who were on board that ill-fated flight. You are suing the Ukrainian government. Essentially, what is your argument?
Our argument is that the Ukrainian government was completely aware of what happened on the ground, that there was a separatist movement. They obviously knew about the equipment they had and that their equipment could reach higher altitudes because the government had closed the airspace 2 days before the downing of MH17. It closed the airspace up to the level of 6,600 meters, which is not enough because given the size of the danger, the whole airspace should have been closed. And this is exactly what our approach is. Each country is responsible not just for their state area on the ground. The airspace belongs to the state area, and this is why each government is responsible for security in its own airspace. This is what the government of Ukraine has neglected, and this is why hundreds of people had to die.
There seems to be greater cause for international law to recognize what you're saying, that there needs to be an airspace over a conflict area closed by the relevant country. Do you think that as more and more people call for the Ukrainians to be responsible for their own airspace in this situation, it does suggest that more and more people are pointing the finger of blame at Ukraine?
This would be, I would welcome such a move because we must see that the Ukraine is not the only crisis area in the world. The globe is full of these areas, and this is a general danger to international aviation because nobody knows exactly what happens on the ground and where can I fly and will I be shot down or what can happen. So if the states and the governments are not completely aware of their own responsibility, if they open the airspace to save, to take measures to secure and safeguard the airspace, then the whole aspect of global aviation can be forgotten. So it's not just the case of the Ukraine. The case of the Ukraine is a very sad example, a very hard example, but there are more examples and more dangers in the world, and each government, including the Ukraine, must take its responsibility.
The fact that Ukraine did not close its airspace in this particular incident to the extent that it should have, can we say that Ukraine is to blame for this crash?
Definitely. Whoever shot or pushed the button of the missile, this is not relevant for my case, because what we want to achieve is that the governments are aware of situations on the ground and must take the necessary consequences. And the question who pushed the button is insofar not relevant. Of course, we are interested in knowing who pushed the button, but for our case, it's completely irrelevant.
And what has been the Ukrainian response to your case? Do you have any indication if you will win your lawsuit?
I'm sure we win our lawsuit because it's quite obvious there are conventions, aviation conventions, there's the Human Rights Convention and so on. Ukraine is a member of all these conventions. The Ukrainian government has now the chance to respond to my claim. The Court of Human Rights has just sent my claim to the Ukrainian government maybe 2 months ago, and they have time to respond to it until mid-November this year. I mean, we must see that the court was silent for more than 18 months after my filing of the lawsuit. But now, all of a sudden, there is a move. The Ukrainian government is now officially aware of my lawsuit. They have the chance to respond. And I look very much forward to what they say. I can imagine what they say, that they are not responsible, that the lawsuit is completely false, and so on. But it is not the case. The legal situation, the facts which I need to support my legal allegations are completely clear.
You are representing the families of 3 German victims, and as far as I understand, yours is the only legal case where you are suing the Ukrainian government for not closing the airspace. Why are more families and more lawyers involved in the MH17 situation not arguing the same point that you are?
I have tried to establish contact with the 5 law firms which represent the Dutch families, because in my view all families should join my lawsuit. After months of silence, I received a letter from one of these law firms representing also the other law firms saying, well, sorry, Mr. Giemulla, we are currently not in a position to take contact to you. Please understand this, but we cannot talk to you. Whatever the reason is, the background of this refusal is, it's strange to me, but unfortunately, no move in my direction.